Alright, now we're going to work on the legs. So we're going to zoom in here a bit, and you can see that the top of the leg is a bit different how it intersects the body than the arm is. The arm has kind of this nice cylindrical or spherical object to deal with the interaction with the body area. So with the leg itself, we don't have that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a lathe object to go ahead and do that. So we're going to kind of start out by guessing exactly how big this curve here should be for the upper part of the leg. I'm going to flare it out a little bit toward the knee, and then we'll come back to about our center line. So the nice thing about Max is I really don't have to worry about doing any of this perfectly. All I want to do is kind of rough it in, and then we'll go back and fine tune it. It's actually a pretty efficient way to be able to work. So I want to round this so that I have a nice smooth curve there for where it's going to intersect with the body. We'll make this a Bezier corner so that I can bring that curve down in a little bit, give it a little bit of a bell shape there at the knee. And then we'll go ahead and apply our lathe modifier. So again, once I put the lathe on, not really the piece of geometry that I want it to be, so we'll hit align minimum, and now we can see it's much too wide for that object. So we'll go back down to the vertex level, turn on our show end result, and I'm just going to grab all of these vertices and move them toward that central axis a little bit. So as I do that, I see my object get a bit smaller. We'll go in a little bit more, then we'll fine tune our curve up here. And then I'm going to go ahead and rotate this into position. So if I rotate and then move, we're going to see how close we got. So rotate a little bit more, and that's not too bad actually. Front to back, we're not quite in position, but that's okay. We'll move it forward, and then I'm going to change my rotate tool to rotate on the local axis of the object. Now as I look, I can rotate that forward, kind of meet up with where it intersects with the body and where we want the knee to be. So it's pretty close. I'm going to go back to the vertex level though, and we want to move now on a local axis because I want my two vertices at the bottom to be, well, not quite so far. So now since we're working on a local axis, as I move around the object, you can see how that coordinate system has moved and oriented itself along with that original spline shape. So it's going to be much easier for me to make things work if I keep that original spline shape planar. Otherwise, my lathe object's going to get real messy. So we'll get out of there, we'll go back, look at the lathe, make sure weld core is turned on, and that object's good to go. So then from there, we'll go ahead and make a couple of simple objects, like our sphere for the knee. We drag that in, get it about the right size, and then we'll move it into position. Now for the lower leg is pretty similar to the forearm. So I'm just going to grab my forearm object here, and we're going to copy it. I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to move it down. When I do that, I want to copy, because I am going to want to make some adjustments. We'll move it up, move it forward, rotate it back a bit. Now look, we'll go back to our original cylinder, and we'll make the radius a bit bigger here. Then we'll look at our taper, we'll adjust our taper amount. I'll keep the curve amount the same though, so we really do mimic the curvature that's on that forearm. And that looks pretty good. We'll bring it up a little bit more and push the cylinder just a little bit. Alright, so then another sphere we'll copy down for our ankle. And since that's obviously too big, we'll make sure it's a copy, and then we can adjust our radius. Since it's a parametric object, it's going to be editable until I convert it to an editable poly. So for now though, it's still editable. Alright, so then I'm going to grab all of these pieces, and we're going to use the mirror tool to mirror them over for the other side. So I'll hit mirror, And then I definitely want to have a copy or an instance to make the other half. For now, we'll keep it as an instance so that any edits we make to one of the legs, we'll be making to both of the legs. We're not going to have to go back and modify both of them. Alright, just like how, when I look at this object now, that real distinct bell curve just doesn't seem to fit with the other parts of the geometry. So we'll go in here and we'll adjust that. So we'll pull that out a little bit, and we want one of these to be wireframe so we can see through here. And let's turn off show and result. So now as we look back, that looks a little bit better. I don't have a problem with that. Alright, we can continue to adjust, continue to refine. I don't want it to be completely straight, but it was a bit too bell curved there. So that works for me. So let's get out of the vertex level. We'll go back to the lathe level, and then we'll zoom back out. Alright, next we'll be working on the foot.